Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Taisha. Thank you for tuning in and listening to my show. Today I'm going to discuss a topic that I thought that was very interesting because when I first got the article, actually it was emailed to me, and it's a picture of this, deranged looking crazy black man with a beard and a hat. And in my mind, I'm like, yet there it is, another black man again, making the black man look more dangerous and making it hard for the innocent black men, um, making people, people like the stereotype. So, when someone feeds into the stereotype by their behavior, or when someone, you know, does exactly what those that believe that already, stereotyped, or typecast that race of people, it doesn't make it easier for those that don't fit that description that just so happen to be that nationality that is considered to be, dangerous or what have you. So see the black guy looking at the distorted image of his face, and I'm like, oh boy, another embarrassment, you know. What's his story, in his defense, he could have been mentally ill, and that is just the result of the poor health care, the way the system is set up and designed that does not care about the forgotten ones in our society. And it's the forgotten ones that have the hardest time with surviving the way the system is set up for failure. So, I mean, if you lose your job today or tomorrow, um, you get the unemployment, which is not as much as you used to get, and then that runs out after a while. Then you go into welfare, and then So anyhow, but healthcare is also an issue for certain people. Certain people are living without any health insurance. And if they are mentally ill or they don't have loved ones to help them to get their help that they need, it's really ugly. It's really ugly. And it's everybody suffering on an individual level, but it's a it affects us all because if this man is not getting the help and the support that he needs, we are all victims of the his mental illness. If he chooses to flip out or it just so happens to be schizophrenic and decides to get very violent and he's not on medication, and there are those that are getting medication that's not taking it, but some people know that I mean there are some people that are not getting the services that they need, and here we are, I mean they're just riding the trains with us, and they're living next door, they're walking through our neighborhoods, and anybody is a victim, for that matter. So we really need to look at that as a community and as a country. Um, I'm airing this, as a matter of fact. I should be talking about the deranged 20-year-old that came into school and killed, I believe it's 27 people. He's dead also. This happened in Connecticut, but I had read that and the gentleman, I don't know if it's okay for me to say this, but Naeem Davis, he his lawyer is giving out flyers, stating that they need some witnesses because he needs proof to show that he is innocent, because his story says, and it's his word against the victim's word, who's no longer with us anymore. Um, Ki Suk Han is his name. Um, May he rest in peace. I hope he didn't suffer too much. But the uh, the lawyer is looking for witnesses to, because his story is um, that the Chinese man, I believe, or Japanese, well, that the victim was drunk at the time and was yelling at his face. They had an argument, and he pushed him a little too hard, and the train came. Now, the picture that I see, the train is a pretty good distance, but there's nobody around to help him up. And living in New York City all my life, I know for a fact that there is a platform, like a little space under the platform. Certain places, no, but there are certain places, yes. And looking at this train station, of course, he probably wouldn't be able to be safe on the third rail from the picture that I'm looking at. But if he was to go under the platform, he probably had a better chance of survival because the train's track, is separate from underneath the platform. So he probably, this is just my thoughts, and and this is probably what I would have done. Now, if he was drunk, and if I was drunk, there's a possibility that my mind probably wouldn't be on going under the platform. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know where. I've never been that drunk to the point where, I'm yelling at somebody. But if he was inebriated, there's a possibility that his brain wasn't there. Now, this is going to be ugly because, you know, if this gentleman was a madman, and it's my whole issue. It's I just can't I can't understand how come it went this far. I just don't. I just don't. And if I was there, maybe I would have seen. But there were people there. There were witnesses. No one thought to help this man up. Why? Maybe because he was drunk and they saw how he was cursing. But if he was a total victim, people would have probably ran to his rescue because they know that this madman just pushed this innocent victim over the track. And that's just my take on it. I'm not taking up for the African American gentleman. I'm very disappointed that it went that far. Instead of him walking away and just letting this drunk man be on his tangent, he decides to, take brute force, which I personally believe was a bit much. You should never touch someone. And maybe the Chinese man did hit him, but you don't have to take it to the next level because if you hurt someone, you're going to jail. And people don't think about stuff like that. Keep your hands to yourself. Now, if he hits you first, you have every right to press charges on him. But hitting him back and then you don't run to the track and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I pushed you into the track." That brute force that caused this man to go a certain amount of feet and land into the track. And when do you feel that it's okay for someone to just stay there and the train just run his ass over? Like, why didn't, if you pushed him into the track and you didn't mean to push him that far, your first instinct should have said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. Hurry up, get up, get up. Here comes the train." That's probably what I've done. But you let this man stay in the fucking track because what? He called you the N word? He was drunk. So, what are your thoughts on that? I personally believe that if I was the victim, all right, I'm going to put myself in his shoes and I'm drunk and the conversation for some reason went a bit too far to that point, and I pushed you. I can't even go to that point, but if it got to that, okay, so let me put myself in the African Americans shoes, because I would never drink that much. I don't bother people, so I wouldn't even go there. But if I were approached by a drunk person who decided to say some hurtful things to me, and I have on plenty of times. I was born and raised in New York, so I've come in contact with drunk people all the time and crazy people every day when I take the subway. So taking the subway, these are things you're gonna come in contact with. Anyhow, um, so if I was approached by a crazy man, I'm not gonna, and it may be because I'm a female as well. But if you push me, I'm calling the cops on your ass. You're getting arrested because I did not touch you. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to, okay, it's time for you to get arrested because now you're taking it too far. That's the first instinct that I would have. But for this gentleman to push this man into the track, okay, yes, you're strong, and you pushed this drunk man all the way into the track and did not help him for to get back up on the track. If you're strong enough to push him into the track, you're strong enough to pull his ass by his pants back onto the platform, because you may have went too far. But there was something in your mind that said fuck him, and that's where I feel that personality trait or that thought process may have been a bit too much or very evil or not. That's antisocial, or that that point in your mind that says yes, run his ass over by the motherfucking train. Excuse my language. That right there is where you went wrong, because no one deserves to be stolen from their family at all. Just because they were drinking and they just so happened to get a little besides themselves, and you get offended by someone who has nothing to do with your upbringing or have not known you since a childhood. Like, I can understand, if they were family members and they said some hurtful things, and I'm not saying it's okay to hurt your family, but maybe they would have some valid points pertaining to you because they know you a little more, and they may mean what they say because they have some evidence to back up their points. But the Chinese guy, or I'm not, the Asian man, doesn't know you from anywhere. He just so happened to be inebriated at the time, and he said some things to you that were um hurtful. I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know how the conversation, but it couldn't have been to the point where you had to um, not care about his well being as a human being, where it was okay for a train to run someone over. That right there, I believe, is a no no. So I don't think you were a madman. I just think that you lacked empathy for your fellow man at the wrong time. That's my point on it. There should be something in your mind to say, save this individual. Something should pop up and say, help him. I pushed him. Let me fix this because I didn't want him to go that far. I just want him to get out my face. That should have taken place. So um I just hope that the judges make the right decision. I hope they see everything that they need to see. I hope that all the evidence is brought in. I hope all the witnesses come up and say what they have to say because they know better. But me personally, just hearing from everything. And another thing, I hate the way the media makes these things seem. I mean, I just hate it. I mean, it gets your attention, and that's their job. Their job is to get your attention for their sponsors, And meanwhile they tell you about this crazy story and then they're selling you like peanut butter and whatever. So, I mean, that's their job. It's about making money at the end of the day, but they really need to be fair with the way they put their stories out there. Don't feed the stereotypical. I mean, they were worse years ago. I believe. I think they're getting a little bit more, a little better. Maybe that's just I think so. But then again, I stopped watching television or the news as much because it begins to tear on you a little bit. It makes you paranoid. It makes you depressed to see this constantly, telling the same horrid stories every day. There's always something going on all over the world, and the sad thing is that these are real stories that they are putting out there. So so as soon as someone loses their lives, it's just, I guess, I don't know. All right, so what are your thoughts on that? Please comment to this podcast, and let me know what you think. Me personally, I think that he may not have been a madman. That's just allegedly he was portrayed as a madman through media, but he may not have been a madman. He just may have had some temper issues, and it was instigated by the Asian man who so happened to be inebriated at the time. Unfortunately, alcoholism and drug addiction, as well as mental health, needs to be addressed, and we as a people need to look at these things. We're voting for these politicians, and we need to make sure that um, somebody needs to speak up. And it's so sad because the people that need to speak up, that are affected by the the neglected points that are being made, that are not being by the neglected issues that should be addressed, um, are the ones that are working long hours and don't really have the time to even deal, or the mental health or mental alertness to even deal with the issues that are plaguing them. Like, everybody's a sitting duck waiting to be victimized by the fact that we um, have a lack of support with the people that we need to deal with, like the youth, for instance. There is there are budget cuts every day. Well, budget cuts when it comes to these after school programs. We got kids they have nothing to do. They're bored, so they're angry, and so they go and bother adults, or go bother other kids in other neighborhoods, and they're getting themselves in trouble. They're robbing people, and doing all sorts of things. I mean, especially with robberies, they love robbing people. I mean, don't wear any shiny jewelry in New York. Anything that looks like, and they're so stupid, like costume jewelry, if they don't know what the difference is and it's just shiny and they think they could steal it, they're taking like a $10 costume jewelry necklace or ring or bracelet or whatever you have on. They're stealing anything. Maybe because it's the thrill of it and they're bored, or they're just and it could be an economical thing, as they don't have any money and their parents are not giving them any, and they can't find a job. But these are the things that need to be addressed, because this is what's really making it hard for the working population. So that's just my thoughts on everything. I mean, um, please, let's get the conversation started. Send me a message to this video wherever I post it at, and we'll address it. And if you say something that's very interesting, I'll definitely start another. We can expound on this in my next broadcast. So that's about it. Thank you so much for listening again. And if you like the show, please give me some type of feedback on it. If you think I need to hush, then feel free to say that. Also, I don't think I'm gonna listen, but it's good to hear what people think. So have a great evening, morning, or afternoon, whatever time you're listening. And thanks again. Take care.